Today I'm here in the beautiful atelier of Ulf Kloo, who is a very good violin maker in the south of France. And here is where the magic happens. And we're going to discuss the most important points when it comes to what to keep in mind when choosing the right violin for you. So, when I come to the Luthier now and I want to buy a new violin, what is the first thing that you would say is the most important to keep in mind?
Yeah, even before you go to a luthier or a violin shop, it's a really good idea to try as many violins as you possibly can, maybe from colleagues, because then you will make a picture of what kind of sound might be the best style of sound for you. Also, it's a good idea to make notes of instruments that you try, especially instruments that you really like, or you might like some aspect of an instrument. Then you can make notes, even ask your friend to make a video on an iPhone or something.
Yeah.
Because even on an iPhone you get a sense of, especially if you record several different violins at different occasions with the same iPhone, it is possible to compare different violins, and then it's easier to remember what kind of characteristics that you really liked about that violin or that violin.
So to really know what you want before to go to the luthier.
Exactly, that's maybe the biggest part of your journey towards your perfect violin. That's in your head, to make the perfect picture of what you're looking for.
Okay.
So that's step one.
Okay, perfect.
When you come to, for instance, a violin dealer and they pick out an antique violin for you, it sort of affects you in a way that, oh, this is really old and fine
it
instrument.
Has history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you might be so impressed that you forget to keep in mind your goals. What will be the best violin for you to develop for years to come? It's also really good to have your violin teacher or a friend, a colleague, which you have a good connection with.
And whom you can trust objectively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And have someone listen at a few meters distance. Because after years of playing your own violin, you're very used to the sound under the ear.
Yeah.
And it's another thing to hear the same violin at a few meters distance or in a concert hall.
I experienced it with myself. One time I played on a violin and it sounded very, very not loud at the ear. The voice from the violin was very tiny, but in the room it developed a really great sound. So I didn't know this.
No. Generally you can say if you have a lot of overtones, upper harmonics, the sound will develop quite nicely in a big hall. And sometimes that violin can sound a bit too bright under the ear.
Yeah.
And maybe not so full and warm. But in a big hall, you get the fullness and the warmth.
Okay.
But you have to experiment. You have to try the violin in different locations. Okay. And later on, when you have come so far as to have chosen maybe 2 or 3 instruments to bring home on trial, then
this is possible to take them home.
That's normally possible. Yes.
Okay.
It wouldn't maybe be possible with the most expensive violins, ancient violins, but a violin maker will always give you 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 days, something like that,
to
take the instrument home. When you've gotten that far as to have maybe chosen a few interesting violins to try out, then of course you go to your teacher and have a lesson. Or if you're a professional musician, you will bring it to the orchestra. Maybe if you play in a smaller quartet or a trio or something, you have to try it in that.
How good is the response in the ensemble? Yeah.
How it blends together with the other instruments.
Okay.
And how you like hearing your instrument in that context also, because you get used to the sound under the ear, almost any instrument, but you have to really like it.
Yeah, and to feel the connection to the instrument.
Exactly.
Now, I think if I come now to you and I take the violin and I like the sound of it, I should also take a better look on the violin to see if there is something about the condition. Maybe.
Exactly, yeah.
So what are the things that you say are the most important to look at? Where are happening the most things on the violin?
Of course, everything has to work properly, but things like the tuning pegs and so on, they can be easily adjusted, or if they don't function properly, or if you don't like them, you can of course change the pegs and so on. These are details like that you can change. Of course, if you don't like the chin rest, you will change that. Yeah. But otherwise, it's important that, of course, that the box of the violin is in good condition. So if you see some issues, like maybe the worst kind of crack for the top, or the bass bar crack, if there's a crack, an old repaired crack along the bass bar, that is, you can be a bit suspicious about that.
Okay.
It has to be really repaired properly with reinforcement cleats that are fit under the bass bar. Okay. It's a pretty tricky procedure, so it has to be really well made for you to trust that kind of crack.
So it doesn't get open.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also here close to the treble side of the bridge, where the sound post is. Yeah. If you see some really serious deformation in the top or a crack, that's also not so good. You have to, then you might want to take it to a really good repair person and have a look at it and ask if it's an issue. Okay. Also for the back, cracks in the center of the back are serious, of course, especially underneath the sound post here on the treble side. If there's a crack here, it has to be really well repaired with a good patch on the inside of the back. Otherwise, if it's just glued, it will reopen.
Okay, now let's sum it up. So we had first, come here and know what you want. So go to the luthier and know what kind of sound you want. Try as many violins as you can beforehand, so you really know what to expect and what you want in an instrument. The second thing was to come with a trust person. Come with your teacher, come with a friend, but who really knows the profession and who can really say if the sound is good, and who really knows what kind of instrument you need to develop. And also make sure to bring a device to record yourself. So after trying so many violins, you really know what sound was the best for you and what violin you want to pick for yourself. Then have an eye on the condition of the instrument. If there are any cracks, if there are some things that need reparation or restoration, so you know what shape the instrument is in that you're going to buy. Cheers!
Cheers!
So, dear Ulf, thank you so much for your professional recommendations, what to think about when you go to the luthier to buy a new violin. It was for me very informative, hopefully for the audience too, but I think so. If you want to find Ulf's violins and his website, everything, it's linked down below in the info box. So if you want to watch the concert that my sister and I played here in his atelier, that was so fun and so cool, go watch it now, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions to Ulf and me, and we're so happy to see you in the next video. Bye!
Bye bye!